Hello, chat. How's it going? Sorry, I'm late. I had to stop and get a drink. I had forgotten to get a drink, and I came back. So don't worry. A little bit of a late start today. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a great weekend here. It was a beautiful weekend here in Atlanta. It was like 70 something degrees yesterday. Ate dinner outside. You know, it was really just wonderful. So hopefully everybody else had a great weekend too. We do have a lot of people busy and out today, so it is just a solo cast Kilgoon show. So hopefully you guys have fun chatting with me today. But I do have some fun things to talk about, so we'll get to run through a few fun things today. First thing, I want to recap for the weekend. We had our Smite Prime Joust tournament with a $1,000 or so prize pool that happened. And it was awesome. There were so many teams that signed up. Like, hold on, let me find the right button here. Handy dandy desktop. We had like 100 and something teams sign up. I think it was like 130 teams. Like, I don't know. It was great. 143. Look, there's a number at the bottom. 143 teams signed up to play in this. And at the end of the day, after this crazy big bracket, which I think Jithin's had to like reenact or like rework his Discord to be able to manage it. We had two teams facing off. We had I Love You Punch and Two Goats and Tigvir. I Love You Punch finished second. That team was Benny Q, Nika, and Zevrisis. And the winners were Happen, Paul, and Tigvir. As chat says, Paul's just better. Great tournament. Definitely go back and check some of the VODs if you didn't catch it live. Always really appreciate watching like the highest level people play the game and see how they react to things. So thanks to everybody who played in that. Thanks to Smite Prime for running it, and thanks to everybody who watched for being a part of the community. Secondly, I have some fun data to share today. Let me find my right place to start here. And this is going to be my fun activity of the day. And then after this, we're going to go through Q&A. These will be, I believe this information will be available on Smite Prime sometime soon. Because I believe Jithin's took the liberty of making this all look pretty. But I ran some interesting data last week to find who out there playing the game of Smite 2 has the most worshipers on every god. And I thought that might be a fun thing to run through on the show. And Jithin's made some pretty art. So we're going to go through the top, the people with the most worshipers for every god. We're only going to look at the top three, and then there's a little bit of a recap at the end. So like I said, Jithin's maybe we'll have more on Smite Prime soon, but should be a fun little thing to look at. So let me switch to my handy dandy desktop here. The God Mastery leaderboard. So we're going to go kind of frame by frame here, and each one has several gods. So coming up first, we start with the letter A. And Achilles, Nestor V1, has almost 14,000 worshipers. Agni, Alter Ego, with 11,600 worshipers. Aladdin, we have Texas Nova 2005 with 17,000 worshipers. Amaterasu, Mind Blower 98, 23,000 worshipers. Anhur, Achilles 324, 22,000 worshipers. Anubis, Diego Little Lion, 23,000 worshipers. Aphrodite, a hotly contested one, let me say. Malice, with 101,000 worshipers. I believe this is the top. This is only Smite 2 data, correct? Mundo Vivientim. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And so Malice, I believe, is the most worshipers on any god in the game right now. And I believe Malice's name actually has a heart at the end of it, but doesn't in this. So Malice is the current leader, I believe. But Z Anime Girl with 75,000 might be the second most of any god. So these are like the top two, I'm pretty sure. Apollo Gamers, we have Clipsipity with 11,000. Ares Short Bucket has 20,000. Artemis, Genny Show has 36,000. And Artio Lovato, who I see in chat, who probably didn't realize he was the top Artio, has 15,000 worshipers on Artio. So that is quite fun. Coming up next, we have... Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Lovato, you have more worshipers on Athena. than than Malice has on Aphrodite. So Lovato on Athena, our number one worshiper holder, I believe here, with 117,000 worshipers. Awilish, we have Pepe Uchicha with 10,000. Bacchus, we have ADS Brink with 30,000. Baron Samedi, we have Le Baron Smite, which is clearly a one trick here, with 19,000. We have Daryl Kidd with the top Bologna with 36,000. I don't like bugs. Cabrakan with almost 17,000. Medium Freds on Cerberus with almost 18,000. Tez XFMO with almost 16,000 on Kurdanos. Lil T1 with 19,000 on Chalk. Chiron, obviously a newer god, so the numbers are going to be smaller. And Little Skittle has the most. And I believe we pulled these last, or I don't know if this is today or if we pulled these last week. So maybe slightly off what you see in game, but just as a point. And Cupid, we have K Marku with 22,000. Daji V5 Reckless with 11,000. Donza Burrow. Somebody asked for Donza. ADS The Rappy with 31,000. Discordia Sins for Ghosty with almost 4,000. Again, a newer god. Eset, we have Curlink 91 with 12,000. Fenrir, God of all trolls, like all Fenrir players. The God of all trolls, 26,000 worshippers. Ganesha, we have Siskos with 9,000. Geb, we have Swapzor with 21,000. All of these Geb players, I think, are using the Geb icon. So that's like the most Geb committed, I believe, or character committed. So Guan Yu, we have Guandolf, another committed player there with 17,000. Hades, Devilius Jedi with 23,000. Hecate, SG Swift with 22,000. And Hercules, we have Plucules with 14,000. Great name. Huyi, we have Kets for Iki with 12,000. Paul Mulan, Mark Steele 6 with 15,000. Hunbats, Label C5, 11,000. Izanami, The Name Is Me, 31,000. Giannis, Adidubs with 8,000. Jingwei, Space Wolfie 07 with 25,000. Jormungandr, Only One Dragon R with 21,000. Kali, we have Flues 95 with 11,000. Kepri, Pro X Gamer 7891 with 21,000. Cuckoo, the Mega Bobster with 27,000. And Loki Susiodan with 28,000. Coming up next, we've got Medusa, New York John with 20,000. Mercury, Sin Shadow with 26,000. Merlin, Harbinger DC, 15,000. Mordred Crow with 27,000. Morgan Le Fay, Dragonflight with 1,500. Again, a brand new god. Nija, again, a new god, 2,500 worshippers for Eplotica Beza. Neath with, I'm not going to say that one on stream, with 52,000. Nemesis War, I'm not going to say that one either, with 30,000. Nuwa with 33,000 to Xdawa Zone X. Newt goes to Creative Love Max. And Odin to I Feel Blame with 20,000. See, people are just trying to get me to say these things to put them into my, supposed voice pack they're making for me. But yes, no, not going to say those. You didn't get me this time. Osiris with something I cannot say because I believe that's Japanese with 39,000 or 3,900. Pele with 14,000 on Little Batty. Poseidon, Bradbury Kenneth with 18,000. Princess Bari, Space Wolfie 07 with 16,000. Ra, It's Me Valentina with 18,000. Rama is something I'm not going to say with 36,000. Scylla, Mask King 3 with 37,000. Sobek, Tib Jex with 18,000. Soul with 26,000. Samukong, I Fate, I believe that probably is trying to be, with 20,000. And Susano Razador with 35,000. Coming up next, we have Sylvanus. We have Danny Elviasus with 11,000. Thanatos Zomoz with 23,000. The Morgan, that's right, it's Mytharia with 61,000. Thor, we have Surchin with 24,000. Tsukiyomi Dis with 11,000. Uller, Twitch Please Build, 16,000. Vulcan, Mr. Texza with 34,000. Shibalanke, VZ Crash Out with 9,000. Umoja NN4MZ with 31,000. Emir Saber XXL 24,000. And finally, Zeus for I Sabotage with 21,000. So we do have a little bit of a recap slide here at the end. This is interesting data here. So overall worshiper leaderboards. We have Lovato number 1 on Athena, Malice number 2 on Aphrodite, Z Anime Girl number 3 on Aphrodite, Mitharia number 4 on the Morrigan, Not Saying It number 5 on Neith, Astaria 7 number 6 on Athena. So Athena is a very relatively contested god. Mass King 3 on Scylla with 37,000. I believe this person's in-game name might not line up with what their account name is that we see, but I'm not going to say that out loud just in case I'm wrong. Daryl Kidd is 36,000. Rama, Not Saying It, 36,000. And Jenny Show with 36,000 on Artemis. So those are our top worshiper leaders right now. We also have some interesting data here on just like what gods have the most worshipers overall. And Aphro and Athena, top 2. Then Nuwa, which is interesting because you didn't see the Nuwas really come through, but people just play Nuwa so much. Same thing with Neith, same thing with Loki. The Morrigan, mostly Mitharia, has like almost a third of the total worshipers on the Morrigan, which is kind of crazy. Bellona, again, a very popular god. Izanami is just like a generally popular god. Danzaburo is a pretty generally popular god, and Anubis is a generally popular god. So kind of fun. The other thing that was interesting that the ambassadors asked me to pull, and I believe it was Vafi actually asked me to pull this, was like who had the most gods radiant. And at the time I pulled this, only one person actually had all of the gods radiant, and this was YYY333444, who is somebody who plays mostly like versus AI, but they love the game, they play, and they manage to get all the gods radiant. So, you know, more power to them. That's like still cool. If you're playing the game and you're liking all the gods and you want to get them all radiant, that's sweet. And then, you know, some of the names that you might recognize if you're like higher level, you have Excel without VGS and Enjoy is played a lot. The Arena Manager you'll see a lot around. Are all just like one god off. So, yeah, and this person does have games not against AI as well. But you know, sometimes people just like playing quick play. They like playing versus AI, and you do get worshipers off those modes now. We made that change with Smite 2. In Smite 1, it was capped, but we got so many people complaining that it was capped because like you should feel rewarded for the time you're playing the game, right? Like I don't have an issue with that, especially since mastery is almost directly a correlation with amount of time playing the game. It seems weird that we're just saying, no, it doesn't count if you're playing versus AI. So we made that change in Smite 2. So anyway, this is our top mastered people. These are our top mastered gods and our top, you know, mastery by gods. So anyway, that is our fun little thing to share today. So hopefully y'all had fun seeing some of that data. And like I said, I believe that Smite Prime will have some of this data up soon. I need a drink after that. That was a lot of talking. So it's 1:15. Last thing I have before I start taking questions. We will be back on Wednesday with a bigger patch show, right? We'll have Charon. I will say this patch, obviously we'll have Charon in it. Charon's cool. He's got some cool new +1s. There's a cool aspect for him. I would say there's less other stuff in this patch than there have been in the past few patches, just because we've had quite a lot of stuff coming in with the arena rework, you know, with some of the bigger UI features and whatnot. And this patch is going to be a little bit lighter. We don't have, you know, we don't have new role passives. We don't have anything like that. Charon's probably the main thing that we're going to be talking about on Wednesday. We'll have new skins. We'll have some other stuff, but this is probably a little bit of a lighter patch. And then we have some other exciting stuff planned for patch after this. But I'm just kind of trying to set expectations that this will be Charon gameplay on Wednesday. We'll turn on PTS. You'll be able to try them yourself, but not a ton other than Charon this time. Do I have anything else to talk about today? I think that might be it. Let me check make sure I'm not missing anything that somebody has slacked me in the first few minutes of this show. No, I look good. Okay. Let's take some questions. I'm happy to answer any and all sports questions, as you all know. I'm also happy to talk about people asking if Gilgamesh is going to be in Charon's PTS. I would say probably yes. I think he's far enough along that it's very likely. I'm not 100% sure because we'll make the final call usually like day of, make sure that like he feels good in, or at least good enough for an early look in the morning playtest. And if there's something wrong in that build, he might not be enabled. But I would expect that Gilgamesh will be enabled, but probably his aspect will not be enabled. That's usually what we do for PTS. Is the Lever 2.0 coming out in this Charon patch? So I'm going to say it's almost certainly not. I talked about this on Friday. We started a little bit late on it because I was out sick for a week, and I was the person who was supposed to be running the kickoff because I had like the plan for what we were doing. So that's on me. And then after that, our UI team has been a little bit caught up with some other emergent issues and just hasn't gotten to put as much time into the Lever stuff as I would hope. So I'm expecting we might get a couple parts of it in this update, but I'm not really expecting it. It's more realistic that it'll be in not this coming update, but the update after. It's still our top UI priority, and we have a good plan on it. We're working on it, but just didn't quite get as far along on it as we wanted it to. Flare Boot speaking to me. Thoughts on the fact that Aston Martin are likely not even going to go any further than the formation lap at Albert Park. This is like the craziest news that's come out of F1 over the past few days. So Aston Martin is using the Honda engine this year. It's Honda's first year building. It's this Honda's first year of building an engine. And the engine just does not last more than a few laps. It's shaking itself apart, supposedly. So they're saying now, because they're so short on spare parts, because they had such a hard time in off-season testing, that like the Aston Martins literally may come out, do like a parade lap, and then not run the race, which is just wild. These guys spent hundreds of millions of dollars building this engine in this car, and they're not even going to run the race. Like, absolutely wild, huge disaster for Honda, and I think a little bit less for Aston Martin. People are blaming Aston Martin a lot for this, but like the fact that Honda can't get an engine together, crazy. Anyway, but at the same time, Honda won the IndyCar race this weekend because Death Tax's Alex Palau is going to win the race. It like good cars. I drove a Honda for a while. Like I had no issues with it, but just like their F1 engine here isn't coming together. So wild. Put this into Smite terms for us. Ooh, I didn't even know if I could do this. Imagine that, I don't know, like, you built the wrong starter and then you couldn't change for the rest of your life, but you just give up after the first minute of the game because you built the wrong starter. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, sorry, best I could do. Just put a K20A in it. Now that's a car person. I had a RSX that had a K20A in it, so yeah, I know that. Maybe it's just a regular. It's been a long time since I used to have that car. Can I provide a comprehensive list of features for Lever 2.0, or will that come later? That'll come later. We'll talk about that when the system's actually rolling out. But TLDR, we want to make sure that people are generally more aware that they don't want to, that like leaving the game is not acceptable, right? Like that's not something that you should be doing in Smite unless there's like an emergency, right? We want people to understand that like when you sign up to play a game of Smite, you're signing up to play the game of Smite. And then we want to make sure that like if you do leave, there are appropriate punishments which you actually have to serve. Whereas right now, if you get deserter, you just go leave and go do something else. And you never actually have to serve that time. So there's things that we want to, do that are basically all trending in that direction of making sure that people are aware that leaving is not something you should be doing. Because if it's like one of the smallest things on the, like, it sounds simple, but like if you get mad at your kids for doing something that you didn't tell them not to do, then you're probably not doing a great job of being a parent, right? Like you should tell them like, hey kid, maybe don't eat an entire box of candy without asking me if you can have some candy before you get mad at them for eating the candy, right? And I think that like, we aren't really telling people like, hey, in a game like Smite, you should commit to playing a game if you queue up. And if things are going wrong, you need to keep playing, right? So I think that like, that's part of it. And I think that like, there is just kind of this, I don't know if it's like psychological or just kind of a social aspect of like understanding what the expectations are that we're not doing a good job of right now. And then like, if people do break that social contract, then there should be punishments. there should be a tracker on your loading frame that says how long you've been AFK for total. See, like we talked about some of this like shame and name kind of stuff, and I think there's a place for it. So one of the things we do want to do, I can say this, is that like right now, if somebody dodges a lobby, it doesn't say who dodged. And we want to be clear about like, this is the person who dodged. So everybody knows and that person has been named, right? On post-match lobby, we want to clearly say like, hey, like this person left the game and is going to be punished or something, right? But we don't want to like, we talked about like giving people titles they can't remove or something, or, you know, doing things that make it obvious that they're a leaver or, you know, causing issues. And that might be something that we add on to it later in the system. But I think that we decided that that's more of an extra feature that we don't necessarily need in the first out to get most of the value out of it. So probably not in the very first version. Public humiliation does work, actually. I'm pro of that. But I think that like, let's first start by like telling people what the expectations are and making sure that there's like some repercussions before we start like actually saying like, hey, this guy sucks. Like, I mean, yeah, that's a little far. Who's my favorite NFL player and when is Ravana coming? I enjoy the sports questions, as you know. I don't know if I actually have an absolute favorite NFL player right now. It's been ups and downs. You know, I think that like I appreciate the approach that Baker Mayfield has to the game. I think that he's been fun to watch how he kind of reinvented himself. But I don't necessarily have like a favorite NFL player right now, I don't think. In terms of when Ravana's coming, I don't know. I'm not talking about future gods after Gilgamesh. So once we get through Gilgamesh, we'll talk more about who's coming after Gilgamesh. Did I see the mock-ups for Erlang Shen's model update? Yeah, I saw that there was some community art stuff of people thinking about how people feel about how he looks. And I think we generally have had the understanding for a long time that like when we get to Erlang Shen, probably doing the exact version that was in Smite 1 is not what people are looking for in Smite 2. I think that generally people felt like his Tier 2 skin from Smite 1, I forget what it was called, was like a good starting point, and then you know maybe some options for there. So with leavers and AFKers, what is the logic behind losing the same amount of SR when somebody quits a game in ranked? There's a couple of reasons. First reason is that like your general math for how you're keeping track of like bare minimum, we would have to give somebody credit for winning and somebody for losing in the background ELO or MMR, like your number that is matchmaking beyond just your publicly visible SR number, because otherwise the numbers just don't really work, right? Like you can't just infinitely give people more numbers or else it's going to scale radically. In terms of like SR, yeah, sure, maybe you could do something like that. But the problem is that whenever we've tried a system like that, it has been exploited by people who have like a specific, you know, like a friend will take the loss so that they don't get the loss on their account that they're trying to climb with or something. And it just ends up being like, I don't know, this weird extra level of like toxicity, lever, trying to get around the system and take advantage of it versus people just using it as a normal system. So I think that's the main reason why we haven't done it. Yeah, why people got it suck. I ask myself that every day, but alas. I find this is an interesting one. I find a lot of games where we have someone AFK, people will try to not surrender, I believe is what he's trying to say, to try and punish them by like trapping them in the game. But it just makes me sit in a miserable game. Any chance we could get surrender help when someone is AFK? Yeah, so I think that right now our pure AFK system is not doing a great job. Like there are certain things that we're detecting it as AFKs and we are punishing, but I don't think that we are doing a good enough job. So that's part of what we're going to be dealing with our Lever 2.0 thing, is making sure that like if people are AFK, we are formally, you know, treating them as AFKs, and then that would have an impact on being able to surrender. So yeah. Has the next saga been decided? It better not be another mage. We have decided the next saga. Ben's working on it right now, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it. So, Um, do we have? Somebody says surrender at 3 votes. Yeah. So once there are only 4 people in the game, then yeah, surrender already works at 3 votes, I believe, right? So it basically it's just like detecting the AFK person as a person not in the game, and then making surrender follow those rules, right? Uh, mm, have I seen the Reddit post with mock-ups for the God Mastery star system? What are your thoughts on it? I have not seen that one yet. Did it come in over the weekend? I haven't gone through some of the weekend posts yet. I had a very busy weekend. I was just like, went to the aquarium with my kids. I had dinner with a friend. It was a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Um, Saturday. Yeah, I didn't see that one yet. I'm gonna make myself a note and I'll check it out. I do always go back through the post from the weekend on Monday, but I was also late coming into work today because I had to go to the eye doctor to get my annual exam so I could get new prescriptions so I could get some new glasses to replace the glasses that my son broke because these are broken. I don't know if you can tell they're taped together right now. My life. You don't care. But yes, I will take a look at the Reddit stars feedback. Not guitars. That's a weird correct. Um, will the arena performance be fixed for the Charon update? I will say that we've been working on it. I don't know how much improvements it will have for the Charon update, but I would expect it'll probably be a little bit better. But yeah, we definitely have been looking at that performance stuff. Um, Morgan Le Fay's idle animation, where she holds a sword with both hands, is missing effects on the sword. Yeah, there are some effects that were missing from Morgan Le Fay that I believe are going to be touched up before the next update. Don't hold me to that if they're not, but they are something that the team's aware of, and it's on their to-do list. So we are aware there's a few things that we missed. How bad are my eyes? Can I beat -8 prescriptions? No, I cannot. My eyes actually are not that bad, but I have like a little bit of like astigmatism. So if I don't wear glasses, I just get like headache and eye strain. So it's more like I can see okay without glasses, like not well, but I can see okay without glasses, but it just like gives me a headache. Anything for assault performance? Assault is still kind of a temp map. You know, I think that assault is a thing that we're going to come back to and do better at some point. So putting a lot of effort into assault right now, probably not on our to-do list. Do we ever plan on making second top SR in a lobby get their role like how it was in Smite 1? So our system is currently trying to prioritize like it it's less of a you are guaranteed a role by SR and more we're trying to find the best mixture of roles for the lobby based on SR getting, you know, if you're top SR, you do get like some prioritization, but then also like how you've prioritized the 5 roles. Um, like, and one of the things that we're trying to do is not put people onto their worst role when we can avoid it. You know, we're trying to reduce the number of just like absolute feels bad matches. I think it is a yeah top I believe always does get their number 1 role in this new system. It's just like second, if you are second, you don't get your role necessarily as often because it may it may go to like your second or third choice role because that's like fitting better for the rest of the lobby. I think that like overall our data suggests that this is a much better system for players and that you're getting like your top 3 roles like 90 something percent of the time. Whereas before it was like you would get your top 2 or else you would get filled and then it was bad, you know? So I think that like this is a better system overall. But there are obviously going to be some matches where you don't get a role you like. And there's some people who are more impacted by this versus the other one, but we feel pretty good about it. You get support every game. I don't understand. So support is the least prioritized role, just in general. People don't like playing support. I don't know why. It's my winningest role, and I think it's fun. But it's just not the role that people prioritize. So it is. If you have it higher, you're going to get it more often than other roles, just because there are fewer people that want it. So if you are find yourself getting it too much, you can always try nudging it down like 1 in your priority list, and then seeing if that gets it more the amount of time that you want it. any ranked Joust updates after seeing the tournament interest last weekend. So I think we were very pleased with the tournament interest. I think it's great that like competitive people have a place where they can play competitive Joust. I think that we are still theoretically interested in the future of maybe doing something with Joust where like the queue evolves at a certain SR MMR where it like becomes more like ranked, but we still, at least with our current player base, supporting an entirely separate Joust queue for ranked when it was never, I know people don't believe me, but it was a really unpopular queue in Smite 1. It just feels like more often than not, people would just be like sitting and waiting in this queue for a very long time to find a match that probably isn't going to be better than the matches that they're finding in the regular Joust queue because there's more people to match them up against in the regular Joust queue. So because of that, we feel like maybe like if we were to do anything, the best solution would be to have like a casual into ranked Joust queue, but there's still pros and cons to that as well. So it's something that we've talked about, but it's not the next thing on our to-do list. The dual queue, this person says the Joust queue and dual queue is terrible. It mismatches 90% of the games. Joust, we've actually made pretty substantial improvements on, and it's not mismatching 90% of the games. I'm sorry that your personal experience has been that. Duel is just very difficult to matchmake because it's a very small number of people that are queuing to play Duel. It's a very unpopular mode. The only reason why it still exists as a queue that we support, like just based on the number of people that are doing it, is because you only need to have 2 people to make a match. And in general, we've actually prioritized finding matches sooner in Duel, and that has led that queue to be much healthier. More people are playing Duel than have played Duel at any point in Smite 2's history because we have made the matchmaking quicker. So that does mean that, yeah, you do get some more mismatches, but we have found the data suggests very heavily that just trying to get people into matches quicker for Duel has been very good for that mode. Somebody likes the VGS training game that was in Smite 1. Yeah, that was fun. That's something we'll probably bring back at some point. Do I build Scepter more or Vortex? I probably build Scepter more. Prism Chest was on for the holiday patch, and then for 2 months it's been missing. Come on. Yeah, we need to bring that back. I think that Blake has a plan to bring it back. I'm not sure exactly when. I'm sorry, but it will come back for sure. I've heard some complaints about gods with unlocked ascension passes aren't visible enough in the new god screen. Could you make the symbol for it bigger and brighter or something? I'll make a note. Gods with unlocked ascension passes on god screen. Yeah, I'll take a look. I honestly don't know what it looks like right now. I just can't envision it in my head, so we'll take a look. How often is Scepter used to troll in playtests? There's a couple people that just really like it and can use it well, so I would say it's less troll and more like, if you're good with it, it's actually a really good item. It's just, understanding when to use it. I've got a handful of people I know that would play the game every day if Slash was added, any word. So Slash, again, in Smite 1 was a much less popular mode than Conquest, Arena, Joust, Assault. Like significantly less popular. And then Ranked Joust was significantly less popular than Slash. The main reason why we don't have Slash right now, I guess 2 main reasons. Number one is that like it would further split the queue populations. And ideally we would be, we have been growing, which is great to see, but ideally we would grow a little bit bigger before we introduce an entirely new queue to the game. Secondly, Siege is its own unique art set. To do a unique art set requires a lot of time and effort. This is the whole reason why Assault still doesn't have its own map, even though Assault is a much more popular mode than Siege ever was. This is the reason why Conquest is still on kind of like a temp, Conquest art set. It just is a very big time commitment to do a whole art pass from scratch for a map. Even bringing over the map from Smite 1 and then updating it can be very time consuming. So it's a combination of just like a lot of effort for something that not a lot of people play and will split the queue populations. A lot of negatives to it. Am I saying that we will never have Siege? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying it's definitely not our priority right now. Our priorities right now in terms of environment stuff are actually getting an assault map that is the real, like a real assault map, and making Conquest better. Like those are the next two things on this to-do list. I'm not sure exactly which order we'll get to them, but those are the next two things that we feel would do the most for the game. Was Clash or Slash the most popular? I really like Clash, but I didn't like Slash. Honestly, they were all roughly the same. Siege, Clash, Slash, they were all roughly the same level of unpopular. It didn't matter if we make it 4-player or 5-player or change the map. They all just existed. I did say because Siege was like the first version of that, right? Siege was the 2v2. I think it was 2v2, right? With the 2-lane. They were all 2-lane matches. Was Match of the Day more popular than Slash? Probably not. But Match of the Day was like silly, and like you didn't really need to make good matches for Match of the Day. Match of the Day was just like find a couple people that want to play this thing and throw them together, right? Nobody complained about bad matchmaking in Match of the Day, whereas like you would notice bad matchmaking in Slash because people are trying to win. Will we get quick play Assault? Eventually, but the problem with Assault as a quick play is that like we don't have that many God bots. I think we only have like maybe 20 God bots at the absolute most. So I think that like the randomness factor and like how you can roll gods is a little bit different for, I just think it might make Assault not feel as interesting. Who came up with the idea of Titan Talk, and is it going to continue after launch? It was something that me and Isaiah came up with. We felt like we just needed to have more direct interaction with the community, and I pitched a lot of it, and then Isaiah made it less bad. So all credit goes to Isaiah for helping as well. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that like, as long as people are interested in it and are watching and participating, I think that we think it's a good show. It's a valuable thing to do because it lets us directly answer questions that people have and lets us understand what the community is upset about or just like has concerns about and things that we should potentially be focusing on. The GOAT Isaiah mentioned, let's go. Yeah, Isaiah's doing well still. Like I think I mentioned recently, he's working on the Invincible versus fighting game now. So he's a good guy. Still lives in the area. I haven't seen him in a while, but he does still live around here. What if we did a 10v10 mode? No one expects that to be balanced. Do they also expect their computer to not explode? Because 10 versus 10 is something that like theoretically we could support, but it's just like having that much stuff going on at once would not be great for performance, just as a general awareness factor. Will there be a designer on the Wednesday show? There will be, because we're going over Charon. So I believe it'll be Caps, since Caps is the designer on Charon. There's only not a designer here today because I don't think there is a designer in the building today, because I'm pretty sure like Pon's kid is sick, and I think Caps is still sick. He's been sick for a while. But he's like recovering slowly, and then Clumsy I think is also sick. So it's just been like, I think everybody's working from home today. How will classic skins for gods with full remodels be handled? For example, Cupid. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen very many Cupid skins yet, is because we don't really have a great plan for it yet. It's something that we have some thoughts on, but realistically, it's probably we remake the skin in the new gods proportions is the most realistic outcome for that. That's kind of what we've done before. Is it Manny a designer? I don't know what Manny does. Manny just, he just exists. He's just here. Manny is the CFO. Okay. All right. Are the minions you teleport to in Conquest a test for Slash? No, it was just we thought it would be an interesting mechanic. So it's in Conquest. It solved some design concerns around certain things. So we tried it out and we liked it. Dedicated physical melee supports are an incredibly small group of gods that we have. Basically only Guan Yu aspect, with Thinner aspect trying its best, and Neja aspect a bit. And I wanted to ask, without spoilers, if that's something the team is aware of. I would say something that we're aware of, that there aren't a lot of viable physical melee supports right now. I don't necessarily have anything more that I can say on that topic at the moment, but it's definitely something that I'm aware of, at least. Any way to get a missed Twitch drop for me with Sylvanas skin? I'm sure they will make those skins available in some way. I will ask Blake if he has a plan for them, because he probably does, but I don't know what that is. Old Twitch drop skins. Okay, made a note. We added some badges from DKO. Could we get some badges to honor paladins as well? Maybe. It's not that it's particularly difficult for us to take some of the badges from paladins and bring them over. However, Smite players have always, historically, there was like quite a lot of animosity towards paladins. There are definitely some people in the community that played both and enjoyed both. But it was one of those things that in the past, at least, made people more angry than happy when we talked about paladins. DKO is a little bit different because it is like Smite IP at least. So like bringing over a badge of Hercules, it's Hercules, right? Whereas like a badge of Androxus would be like, why is Androxus in this game? So it's something that we could do, but I'm just not sure how the community would react to it. Would we consider one new god a year in the midst of ports? I think that like we would consider doing new gods. We're not opposed to the idea of doing new gods. It's just the feedback we keep consistently getting is like, but what about this missing god? What about this missing god? Like people want their classic gods. And we're able to move faster by focusing just on the classic gods and not trying to work the new gods into the pipeline right now. So at some point, we definitely will do new gods. We have, like I said, a couple in various stages of development and some other good ideas. But it's just it's not the priority right now, I think, for the community. So that's why we're focusing more on the classic gods. Bring Io over as an Artemis skin. I'm sure they don't ride the same rig, but that's a fun idea. Why don't we re-release DKO as free-to-play? DKO, I believe, was free-to-play for a while, and still nobody played it. So, unfortunately, it just didn't have much of a community. So then you're just, like, paying for servers to lose money, which is not ideal. This is a fun game. I like DKO. Just, unfortunately, didn't really find an audience. Yeah, it was free-to-play at the end, and it was free to keep at the start as well. It was free on PlayStation as part of PlayStation Plus, and then it was free to keep on Steam for a period of time, and the people that came in did not stick around. So, are there any gods that I feel have to be in the game before full launch? I wouldn't say necessarily. I don't think there's anybody where I'm like, if I'm not going to say a god because you guys are going to quote me on it forever, but if this specific god that isn't, I'm gonna say Gilgamesh because it's coming out. If Gilgamesh isn't the god, then we can never go to full release. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I do think that for me, it's more full release is it's a vibes thing as much as silly as that sounds, because I want it to be where the game is in a place where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this is like a one. Everybody that can look at this and be like, this is a 1.0 game. I am pleased with the state of this game. There's no obvious things that are just like temp and bad, right? So we've got a lot of areas for improvement still, and yeah, I think we're getting better every day, and hopefully people are enjoying it. How many aspects will be in the next patch? I believe just the aspects for Charon. Have I played anything from Next Fest this go around? Thoughts on how many new MOBAs are spawning? I've only played a couple of Next Fest things. I played the Vampire Survivor dungeon crawler thing, which was okay, but for me didn't quite have the same magic as original Vampire Survivors. I played Racoin, which is like a coin pusher game. Coin pusher roguelike, and I didn't really love it. I thought it was like a cool idea, which is why I wanted to try it, but something about it just didn't click to me. I haven't really played anything else. I've seen a couple other things that look okay. But yeah, I haven't really played too much. In terms of other MOBAs that are coming out, it's very difficult to make a MOBA. It's very difficult to make a MOBA, especially in 2026 when um, players like what they like. We see what other people are doing. It's difficult to make any game in 2026, dude. Like, there are so many games that have come out and even do like crazy initial numbers and then just fall off, right? Like, I mean, Supervive just shut down last week, I think, week before last. And I thought that game was like very well made. And there've been a lot of great examples like that over the past, however long. It's just tough to make games in 2026. High Guard, yeah, people are talking about High Guard. High Guard is the big one. Indie games are rising though. The thing is, there's like so many indie games, and like indie games just grown. I think as part of the space, but they aren't really like. If you like competitive multiplayer games, there aren't really too many like indie games that are coming in to fill that space. It's been like there's been a lot of like indie like friend slot multiplayer, which I don't mean derogatorily. That's just kind of like what the genre is called now. I mean, like fun co-op, unpolished stuff, like intentionally unpolished. But like competitive multiplayer, I think it's just like it's so hard to get any kind of like toehold into anything with competitive multiplayer these days. Like Super Battle Golf, it's like technically competitive multiplayer, but it's not really competitive, right? It's just like goofing around with your friends doing dumb stuff, right? Like I think that's just a different thing. Uh, so I probably shouldn't answer this question, but I'm going to answer this. Did Conquered fail because the characters were unattractive? I think that it didn't help. I think that part of the problem was like it was hard to understand from a split second, which is kind of all you have, why people would choose to play that game versus any of the other hero shooters on the market, right? It's like, what's the point of differentiation that makes it like better versus just different? And different isn't good enough anymore. Nowadays, unless you are the best group for a large swath of the gaming population, and like however you define large enough for you to be sustainable, like you will not be successful. And I think that like a really good alternative just isn't enough anymore. And I think that's kind of what Conquered was. Like, I don't know if you guys played it. Like the shooting felt really good. Like the graphics were really good. Some of the characters were really cool, but it just like it was just kind of another good option, and another good option isn't enough to get me to switch. That's why I think like I think the only like new MOBA that's managed to really carve out any space recently has been Deadlock, right? Which it does something kind of a little bit new. I don't, again, everybody has their thing that they find the most fun. I still think I find Smite the most fun. I play it the most, but like it does something different, and I think that's why it has managed to find success. Um, People talking about Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals also benefits from like it's a Marvel game, and there's so many people that are just like, you guys underestimate, I think, the amount of people that are just like scrolling through the Steam store or Xbox store or PlayStation store, and they're like, free Marvel game, play, right? And then it's a good game once you play it. But I think that like you get so much just inflow of people that want to check out the game because it's Marvel, that really helps them. That like they they offer some new things. I think like they offer like more of a third person approach to this hero shooter, which hasn't really been done as well as they did it before then. The destructibility they added, I think, is new. The team ups are new, right? They added some interesting things on it. But the real big thing for them is like experience the fantasy of being your favorite superhero in a way that actually feels good. And like that is a hook that is really compelling to a lot of people. Yeah, somebody says, I came to Smite for the mythology. Yeah, like the mythology is a hook that gets a lot of people into Smite. I think also the gameplay of Smite is very unique, right? There's no other game on the planet really that plays the way Smite does, because it's this weird like third person, like but kind of like not full 3D, 3D 2D hybrid, which I think like for a game like Smite is perfect because it gets you in the action. It makes it feel more engaging to me than like a top-down MOBA, but it isn't so Twitch that like it takes away your focus from the things that matter in a MOBA, like your positioning and the strategy of like how you're running the map. And like, I don't know, like to me, it just works really well for our kind of game. And I think that most games that try and go more 3D, in my opinion, like push it too much towards I personally am just focused on trying to do the Twitch gameplay versus playing the game strategically. So that's why one of the reasons why I think Smite just does so well. Um, Hi-Rez making a Marvel MOBA win. That's a tongue twister. You joke. That would be fun though. Mm, Smite card game. We had Hand of the Gods at one point. That was fun. I came to Smite to play Perseus and saw he wasn't in the game, and it made me sad. But Rat and Kuzumba made me say Perseus is an interesting call. I don't know if we've ever seriously considered Perseus. Um, that's a fun idea though. Um, Hi-Rez making a Smite 2 confirmed. Yeah, you're playing it right now. Uh, what God trailer from Smite 1 brought the most people to the game? So the most successful God release we had was Cthulhu. So I would probably say it was the Cthulhu trailer. I think that that did a really good job of, again, like what we've seen works well is um, historically well-known mythological god, somebody that you look at and you're like, that's a god with some new twist in it, right? Some new character that is compelling. So having Zeus plus Cthulhu was a really neat moment. And then I think the other thing that really helps contextualize it was the soldier. There was that like human soldier, and having we found that having human characters helps contextualize the power of the gods and makes them actually feel like gods in a way that just having like gods, smashing their heads together didn't always. Um, Dracula would bring a ton of players. Yeah, we've talked about that. I don't know. I think it's like there's a lot of interesting questions out there in terms of what is too far for a Smite God. Still waiting for a AAA competitive Transformers game. Transformers Universe died way too early. Okay, go back to play Transformers War for Cybertron and Transformers Fall of Cybertron. Third-person shooter games. They were made by High Noon Studios, published by Activision, and they were incredible. They are some of my favorite games of all time. The multiplayer on those games was sick. It felt so good to transform. Like I've never played a game that switches between like gunfight to car chase to like it was so good. Really, really great game. So War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron are insanely good. Oh yeah, Apache agrees. Yeah, so good. It's crazy how you know all that offhand. Dude, I'm just a gamer. Like I play games so much. Um, uh, there's stuff I don't know because there's like so many games on the planet. Like, but the like things that are in my sphere of interest, I'm like, dude, I can talk to you about them. Uh, let's see. Devs are gamers. Yeah, I know. It's shocking. Like realistically, like I don't know how you end up in this industry if you aren't a hardcore gamer because like I mean, people joke, but like, if you're a programmer, you could probably make a lot more money being a programmer, working for some dumb IT company, right? Like, if you are an artist, I don't know how art pays in like movies and stuff. I would assume it probably pays, more or the same, right? Like, people that end up in gaming, in my experience, tend to be gamers. Not everybody is a gamer, but like I think that like for you to have the passion to want to do this, a job that has oftentimes long hours, you have a lot of public hate when you do anything wrong. You could potentially be making more money doing something else. Like it's a thing that like you get into because you love. So um, how successful Baba Yaga? Baba Yaga was actually, I think, maybe our most viewed trailer. Um, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But I want to say it was like our most viewed trailer from Smite One, and I think it was because like the algorithm picked up Baba Yaga as like a thing that people liked, and so it surfaced it to a lot of like Baba Yaga fans, um, and I don't think it like led to a as big of a surge in players as we would have liked, but that trailer was very highly picked up. Maybe it was Cthulhu. When it came out, for sure, though, Baba Yaga was huge. Why is the guy on the right not answering any questions? He's the strong but silent type. Manny is just a fixture of the show, but doesn't answer too many questions. A bunch of confused John Wick fans. Yeah, maybe. Um, mm, is there an issue with the assault map? I keep seeing these black lines in the air. I thought it was my eyes at first, but it only happens with that game. I've gotten a couple of reports of these like weird black lines that appear in some game modes. Um, I don't know what this is. I have not seen this. All the reports I have seen have not actually been accompanied by a screenshot or a video. If you have any details about it, we can take a look at it. But I don't know what this bug is beyond. Oposh says it's Hu Yi. Send me a picture or a screenshot or something then. We can take a look. Um, Manny should grow a beard to look more like me. I don't know about that. We turned his hat backwards one day and y'all freaked out. So I think he just has to look how he looks. Pawn has the info. Okay. Send it to me too, please. And then I will make sure it goes to the right person. Um, hmm. Uh, we should do trailers for ported gods. Yeah, I think that like there's two reasons why we don't do trailers for every god that we bring over. First one is that like if we're trying to do outsourced trailers to like 3D 3D animation stuff like we did for Cthulhu or Baba Yaga, it's very expensive. And you can say that it definitely has upside. People watch it, they get more excited about the thing, but we just could not afford to do that every 2 weeks. And I don't think we could find a studio that would be willing to do that every 2 weeks. So we just need a lot more money to do that. Secondly, if we're trying to do in-game trailers, the gods usually aren't done until like, a couple days before the patch releases, which doesn't really leave us any time to do fancy trailers. It's one of the reasons why, like, if you follow our social media channels, a lot of the social media we put up is like clips of the show that we do here on Titan Talk, because like that's kind of the best way for us to get uh, in-game footage that is recent without spending a ton of time um, quickly, and actually get stuff up on our social media. So if we were done with the god a month in advance and we had time to make a video with in-game capture, or even a couple of weeks in advance, it'd be a lot easier. But it's just we don't have much of a time gap to do that anymore. Oh, well, the chat has been cleared, so I believe it is. It's 2:00, which means it's time for one more question. Thanks for. Oh, that is a great note. Sorry, I got interrupted with the controller layout menu for VGS. That's been something that was on my to-do list for forever, and it fell off. So I'm just going to put it on so I don't forget about it again. For controller. Thank you for reminding me about that. I appreciate that. Anyway, we'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to do Charon. We'll talk about the other new stuff coming in the patch. Like I said, Charon's really the feature. There's not as much new stuff in this patch other than Charon. So it should be a fun show. It's got a cool aspect. He's looking good. Everybody can paddle into battle starting on Wednesday. We'll drop PTS right afterwards. And it's time to pick a question here. let's see. Um, have I was trying to pick a good one for the last one. Sometimes I have trouble. So I'm going to ask this one because I want chat's opinion on this. Thoughts on having the fountain in Assault work like the other modes until the match starts. So if you accidentally step off at the very start, you could get back on and shop. Chat, how do we feel about this? Do we feel like there should be a forgiveness period at the start of Assault? I had an RSX, not an NSX. I don't got that kind of money, bud. Yeah, I had a base model RSX. Yeah, it seems like most people are excited about that idea. All right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Maybe we'll do it. I'll ask about a forgiveness assault period. I don't know how hard it will be. But that's a good idea. Awesome. Well, and somebody keeps asking me about Chang'e. They've asked me about it the whole show. I don't talk about gods that are after the ones that we've announced. I mean, like I might talk like generically if there's a fun like fact about them or something. But I don't have anything that I can share about Chang'e right now. We'll do our next god roadmap once either right before Gilgamesh releases or right after Gilgamesh releases. So in 2 to 3 weeks, I would say we'll do our next god roadmap and we'll cover the next few gods that are coming out. I like Chang'e, I like a lot of the gods that have yet to release. But yeah, I don't have anything that I can share today. So I see you asking so many times though. I don't want to leave you on red. So thank you all so much. Again, appreciate you guys for watching the show. We'll be back on Wednesday with Karen and Pat's show. We will see you on the battleground of the gods. Bye-bye.